Your approach to me is more what I know from the tech industry, so focusing on the experience of the user using the jargon rather than aesthetics, etc. Something just the image that I know from a lot of interior practices. But you contacted me in the context of your interest about the technology and the digital side of it. Can you tell me where are you? What you thinking? Where are you in this world?
Okay. So just to put a little bit of context, so I run a practice called Mixed. We hire around 30 people, 30 architects at this point, and we work in global hospitality and co-living and workplace environment. So we create, we say, interior experiences. So for us, it's creating interior design, but based on a story, based on a kind of experience project. We first of all create with client, and based on his experience, his goals, his culture, the brand culture. So we try to translate the brand identity into real life. And we have discovered in this context that the topic is definitely broader than we have expected to be. And with the pandemic, hit over everyone, and everyone is sitting on Zoom right now, like us. We discovered that this can be actually interesting to take a look into the digital world. And the digital is apparently the new black. The digital has came over. As I said before, I'm a gamer. I'm a vivid gamer from 90s. So probably people that are gaming right now, like 18 years old or 20 years old, will be taking me for a dinosaur. Because I was gaming in the 90s, then 97, 96. I was gaming online. I was one of the first players in Quake World online in 97, 98. So when I immediately logged in to the internet world in 96, 97, when I was like 13, 12, I was immediately hit by this broad spectrum of possibilities the internet has. And I started to design websites in 98. I started to play online in 97 when, there was a super expensive, connections. So my father was like going crazy with the bills from the phone providers. But for me, it was like a completely different world where people are meeting each other and, typing stuff on these games, and they were connecting and discussing things and playing, and together with the old world, those guys from Brazil, from like United States, from Europe, we were chatting. So this was completely crazy. So the first thing I was I wrote down an article to the school magazine, and there was an article written about the playing online in 98 to my school magazine, and everyone was like, Jesus, are you fucking crazy, man? It's like, what are you talking about? Is it why are you saying this? What is this? I don't even have a computer either. So it was like so super niche. I would compare this thing to Bitcoin in 2011. I think everyone was like, yeah, Bitcoin is great. Everyone who knew what will be the Bitcoin future in 2011, those guys were saying like, you need to check this out. And everyone was like, come on, man, it will just disappear in 6 months. So so that's my background. So based on that, I studied architecture and then went into interior design as, because I'm very into design and aesthetics, and definitely into brands as well. So I really like to work with brands because I think brands are like people. So that's a completely different topic. But on the other hand, when the pandemic hit, everyone discovered themselves installing Zoom and Teams and jumping over a quick calls with the clients and transforming the work in a matter of weeks. We changed every aspect of our work. So my company was going through a transformation period, and I was like very stressed. There's a lot of things going on with money, with projects being held. So we needed to land over new projects, new connections in this different environment when, people were dying for COVID. So this was completely like different experience, but I dig over to my history of being connected by digital, and I discovered many things that actually are still relevant to this. So I think Zoom and Teams are a very early phase of what we'll be experiencing in the next years. I have in mind, you were asking about how the interior design affects this. I mean, the great example is where the retail is at this point. There's no people in the shopping malls. The shopping malls are closing in Europe. And we used to design for shopping malls, and now we don't have any projects in case of retail, because I think those guys will need to transform the whole retail thing, how we experience brands and shopping experience. Everything is happening online and e-commerce. But on the other hand, this is very boring to buy things online. So I think people will need some kind of physical environment or digital VR environment where they will be experiencing brands and products. So, this, like 1 year ago when everything started, I was sitting on Zoom and trying to figure out how should I connect with clients? How should I connect with my own employees? Because before that, we were working on a physical projects, sitting in the office all day. We are 13 people at this point, and now we're working only online. I'm sitting in a house, in our big office. We changed for a big one because we're growing, and it's completely empty because there's a third wave of COVID. Everyone is at home, but with third wave, everything is set up. Nobody's stressed because we have a Slack, we have Zooms, we have Whereby, we have Teams. Our clients are also connected to this. So this environment is already set up. And it took only a year. The acceleration was huge. So only a year after, our clients are completely fine when we sit on Zoom. So that's crazy. That's actually crazy.
Well, you could
and the transformation, that's very long.
Well, you could say that it took a year for the clients to get used to it, but on the other hand, it's super quick, no? That it's only a year that everyone really switched to fully be fluent in it. Of course, it still has its flaws. It's not a perfect world we are living in right now. I think especially people with children and apartments that were not ready for this switch struggle a lot. But I want to come back to one interesting thing that I wrote down when you were talking about your backstory. From my experience, there is a lot of stigma coming from physical, let's call them like architects being physical designers towards the virtual world, and that there's this perception that these two things are standing against each other, And for me, you are a living proof that like the passion and love for the virtual environment doesn't mean the abundance of the attention to the physical world, Like your work shows that there's enormous importance in the way how you design a physical space, and I don't mean it only aesthetically, but in this experience sense. And this is for me a crucial element of the friction between the two, and what you said, the influence of the digital, that the none of the words right now we are happy with when they're on its own, The physical shopping experience is partially dead, I would say. It's funny because I personally worked on several shopping malls renovations. Mostly renovations. These are shopping malls from the 80s, but there are also brand new shopping malls appearing in the Netherlands. At the same time, there are shopping malls dying, being completely empty, covered in graffiti. So there is the certain evolution of it. But yeah, what you said, like also with the moment, the crisis, like pandemic, it's not the matter of how we design it, it's just shot. So we have the virtual world, but as you also mentioned, the virtual world is also not perfect. It's not an experience that gives us thrills. We order something, we forget that we did. It comes few days later, and it's a surprise present. Yeah. It's not a very memorable experience. So
no, I actually hate shopping online. I hate shopping online because this is like it hasn't changed since 20 years. It's all the same. The only difference is that you have the quicker, broader internet connection. That's the only difference, that you can actually have the better graphics on the site. But everything is the same. You have the shopping cart. You have the, I don't know. Can I swear here? So you have the fucking shopping cart. You have the products inside, and there's nothing changed from the very first Amazon site, very first eBay. Nothing. So, there's definitely room here for something new. And it's 20 years, it's like a lot of time. And as we're talking about the changes that happened the last year, you see how quick it can be. There wasn't any inspiration, any reason to change that. Everyone was happy about buying, Amazon. Amazon is the biggest company in the world still, and they haven't changed the fucking shopping cart experience yet. So if you can imagine what will happen when they will jump over to some kind of VR, AR experience on, I don't know, other technology which will arise, and they will like triple the size. It's like, it's people, you say the friction between the physical and digital environment. I'm living in a digital environment for 20 years already. I'm playing online games. It was like, I was playing Quake, I was playing Warcraft, I was playing StarCraft, I was playing all the games you have over there. It's League of Legends, everything. So I know exactly how the guys, it's not new. The esport community, this is huge. This is bigger than sports right now. And I know that in the very beginning, the people were playing with a really, the games were super easy, like not easy. They were very hard to play. It was needed a lot of skill, a lot of training. So that hasn't changed. But the games weren't so technology advanced. So they were, the graphics were bad and everything, but the experience mattered. The experience of connecting people, the experience of competitiveness online has stayed the same. But as you see, it took like 25 years for the esport community to be, from the very beginning, or maybe even more than 25, to be, the flat grow. It wasn't growing that much. The esports was growing, but not that much. It wasn't mainstream. And now, for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe just this year, it boomed. There's some situations that under the surface, some of the movements are growing. They're forming. They're forming this very slow movement under the surface, and then when something happens, immediately, it pops out. So it's immediately mainstream. Immediately, it's like Zoom right now. It's like Amazon was in 2000. I don't know which year it was, and many things will happen the same. And it will even happen quicker. So that's why I'm interested in the digital experience, because I think that, the presence of brands and presence of people online, it's forming. So if we could actually imagine our office online, how it will work. I don't know,
Yeah, and that's where I find a huge role of designers like you and me to really rethink it from the very core. Because what happens often in translation, in both ways, from virtual to real and from real to virtual, that we just really copy, like you mentioned, a shopping cart, and the same way the other way around. We have virtual conference rooms with chairs that are modeled exactly like the. Why? Yeah. We're not even sitting on it. It can be anything in the world as long as it's stimulating. Is the conference room that is limited by the budget, by the color of the paint we had left over, and the location in the building without windows? Does it still limit us? And funny enough, there is already, this week I was just checking Amazon Sumerian, something like this, a platform for VR and AR development of shopping experiences.
Okay.
And I think the sooner we jump on this wagon, we can really make a difference in redefining what the purpose of it is. Because right now what happens is, again, copying some kind of physical retail experience. So you have a shelf with shoes on it, and then you put an armchair.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen your projects on LinkedIn. I've seen you're doing classes online, with the VR experience. I think some kind of experiments in the VR environment. What's it all about? What's the platform, and what's your purpose in that? What's your goals?
So there are several ideas really orbiting around one drive, I would say. What we said, the clash of the virtual and physical, and my graduation project was really focusing on translating the technologies, different technologies coming with the fourth industrial revolution into the way we live, really. So how the automation, how artificial intelligence, how augmented reality will change our lifestyle, and how it can be adapted by architecture to create something meaningful. So not just something that takes us out of this physical world, but rather connects people, gives possibility to own less and have access to more at the same time. So that was using mechanical automation elements, but through the calculations of artificial intelligence. And the potential that we have in the cities with the serendipity that we have all these people around us, 1 million people in Amsterdam, so many ideas, so many people that are just like you. And coming back to what we said before, I believe that purely digital experience of meeting these people is not exciting enough. I want to link with them in the virtual space, but I want to interact them like humans like to interact in a more meaningful way. And for that we need spaces. And then going the other way around, the spaces also have to work with it. What does it mean for shared ownership? For me, it's different than just being public, open.
Putting the interesting thing is to build a bridge, something that will connect the physical and digital environment. I think the screen right here, the Zoom and everything is fine, but we need some kind of connection that will connect our senses. The interior design is all about the touch, the texture, color, the shininess of the materials, the color, like the light, everything has its own role. So that's why, it's like we have hundreds of years of experience designing spaces, and the hotels are the best, mostly packed with the best interior designers, the best experiences possible, just for the people who are traveling, so then they can actually feel comfortable and discover something. Then hospitality is very, very mature in terms of the experience. So it's a great playground for connecting actually with digital, in my opinion. The other thing is workplaces, which are, in my opinion, are super old. The workplace strategies, the workplace environments are very badly designed, very bad. And there's the movement of changing the workplace environment is still young, And on the top of that, you have the co-living industry. And the co-living industry is super young. It's not even mainstream yet, It's haven't even. I was talking with Bart Sassim, maybe, guys from Co-living Insights, from Co-living Ventures, and all those guys are super inspiring people with a lot of knowledge, but they're very young. There's a very young community of creating co-living, co-living foundations. Well, and I think all those platforms, co-living workplaces, are are the base, the foundation for the digital experience. It's like we need to sit on the fucking chair to put the gloves, to put the glasses on. You need to feel safe somewhere to go into there. It's not like you will be sitting in a white room in the center and then you will put the gloves, because you will be immediately feeling unsafe. No. People are people are creatures which are very, in some senses, very easy to predict. It's like we have the trust, we have the safeness, we have there's basically in the interaction in the public spaces, there's trust and safeness. Like those two ingredients are the most important. If you can be, if you trust the place, if you feel safe there, in some reason, because you're safe. Some people will need some huge amount of experience inside to feel safe. Some people are feeling safe very easily, so that's the difference, But if you feel a little bit safe or in connection with the space, and in the same time you trust it, you can create some kind of foundation for the digital experience. That's my opinion. And it can be everything. It can be co-living, it can be workplace, it can be hospitality, traveling, everything. If I would actually imagine working with my team of architects and designers online, how can we transform the Zoom experience? I would definitely sit inside the projects we design. I would definitely, go inside to the projects we design. I wouldn't sit in the fucking office. It's like.
So that's maybe the bridge to the second part of your question. That's what the VR course for me is about. So it existed before at the Academy van Bouwkunst that I before studied at, and it very much focused, the VR for architecture course focused on just the representation of their projects. You design something and then how we can put it in VR so you can see it at the end, you can show it in VR. Well, how boring is that, right? I mean, it's just the last element. It's a good visualization on your wall can already tell a story. For me, what's interesting is that you can really work with this experience and try to create something while being in it and experience it together with your classmates during the process. So, and there Corona hit and we were forced to have everything remotely. So there was no more chance to meet. So we only meet in VR. So the experiment is both for how creation in VR works, how reviews, sharing your work in VR works, but also how interaction between people in VR works. And for me, it's all about nuances and the little elements that we don't even consider maybe while thinking about our digital communication. The fact that we are now talking on Zoom means that we're also looking in the mirror while I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
This is a very unusual experience for me. Of course, I can turn it off, but also I don't. It happens. I don't look you straight in the eyes. You don't look me straight in the eyes right now. Also, not the most comfortable when you talk with somebody. When you talk in a group, you keep staring in one direction. In VR, you really make a gesture. You turn this side and you direct towards somebody. The eyes are following somebody. You make a hand gesture that symbolizes something in three-dimensional space. Right now, I'm waving my hands. It doesn't mean much because it's flat. I think it's infant stage of the technology itself, So of course it has plenty of flaws, and also we are not used to it. But we used to make fun of people looking at the smartphone screens all the time. Now we make fun of sitting in the goggles, having fun. But at the end of the day, when I spent a day in my goggles with the students without sitting at the desk for even a minute, and I'm changing my position, looking my whole body, what is more healthy, sitting at the desk with your laptop, or being immersed in an experience?
Great point. I was talking to my friend who was working in a Bitcoin industry, actually, in San Francisco, and I was talking with him about the VR experience like 2 weeks ago, and he was presenting me the new Oculus Gear, and I was using it at his apartment, and I must say I was thrilled. It was the first time I had this experience of using Oculus Gear, and I must say it was the thing is big, so actually it's big. So yeah, you need to get used to it, but still when you put it on, I'm a kind of early adopter of everything. I'm very excited with new, fresh things, which are actually putting something new on the table. So when I was putting the goggles on, I was thrilled how it's real, how your senses are adapting to the situation, how you experience the objects, and how you see the reality around in a black and white, and you see the things that actually put in the digital world, and those things are blending. So I think that's this is a bridge, something that is blending with the reality. So only the technology needs to be very easy to put it, like a click and you have it. It's like a smartphone, you just put it and it's there. That's only a matter of time. So that's why for me and my company, I'm interested in it, not for a business. I don't think that's a great business opportunity right now. I mean, there's a lot probably, but for me, as I grow my company for hospitality design and co-living and workplace design, it's still a lot to do in the physical world. Just tons of the digital transformation from the 2020 made me possible to work in Africa, in Uzbekistan, in Central Europe. It's super easy to work. I just jump over a call, and I have a call with Latvia, with Estonia. I have a call with you in Amsterdam. I have a call with the guys from the United States. So this created a great business opportunity, which is in front of me. I'm using it right now. I'm growing my company on this opportunity, and it's only one piece of software that connects us in a very easy way to talk about something. And my services can be easily translated to every language, to every culture, every place on the earth, because when people are traveling, they have this kind of expectations that they will receive something that they know a little bit. But on the other hand, you're building kind of bridge between the local culture, local inspiration, and you as a person coming from a different culture. So we are very young people. We are people that are inspired by traveling, meeting new cultures, and we actually are we like to listen, So that's why when we design in Uzbekistan, for example, or in Latvia, or in Bulgaria, or in Africa, we need to see the culture. We need to experience the culture. We need to understand what's the principles. So that's something that digital need to be looking at, because when you're sitting on Zoom, you won't be experiencing the culture. You won't be eating. You won't be seeing the city. So how can we actually experience the culture of different parts of the world when we're sitting on our computer? It's that's something to work on. That's another bridge, another opportunity. But putting the glasses on and creating different worlds, it's another one. It's so there's plenty of things to do. Yeah. There's so many things to do. The connection between the digital and the physical, it's enormous. It's enormous. It just started. It's going to be huge.
And coming back to what you said about your projects in different locations and the importance of the context and understanding the story that is already there. One of the themes in my research is how it influences, how it gives a potential to connection with the neighborhood, the digital technology for the projects. Your projects usually fit in the program of hotels, offices, retail, right?
Yeah.
They are, from my perspective, really concentrated programs from definition on the user of the building, of the person that is there. There are kind of bubbles on its own.
Yeah.
However, it's very important, I think, in the context of our cities to create projects, buildings that coexist with its surroundings, not only with the story, you know, that you take to build the experience for the user, but also to fit in the with the neighborhood.
If you can think about our projects, I think it would be the best if you think about the portal. You know, you go to a place where we actually design something, and this is a portal to the experience, and where the portal will lead to. Is it a digital, a great possibility to be behind this portal? You know, when you actually travel to some kind of, I don't know, exotic place, and you immediately in the hotel lobby or in the room, you have these items, you have this environment that actually it's something in between you and the culture. What if you have also some kind of third way to go with the digital experience? When you can actually learn language, you can actually, I don't know, maybe meet your friends from your home, so you can actually stay more in the hotel. There's so many things that can happen in digital. It's not even not even told yet. And you said about storytelling. It's like, you know, usually designers have this great imagination, so we can imagine things, we can imagine places, spaces. People which are very analytical in terms of thinking, they are not easy for them. It needs to be trained as well. In the studies, we train our imagination to imagine the places. When we work on Zoom with my designers, it's not very hard because we communicate and we imagine something, and we try to we try to imagine the same thing and talk about this. So what we are actually doing, we already in some kind of different environment. We are already in our imagination when we work. So the only thing that digital experience is creating is putting this kind of imaginary world to everyone, not only to designers. We are only a people that will show how it is important and what possibilities it brings. When we work on a hotel project, we imagine the lobby first. We don't draw it. I mean, the drawing is only a matter of like a language. When we put our imagination into the language of paper, it's the same as type. The same. The sketching is the same as typing. You know, it's only a matter of putting something from your head into the paper. And what if it's not needed? What if you can imagine something and be in there immediately and experience it and have your own opinion about it? So many people can actually go into there and have their own opinions without using their own imagination, without using their own, you know, it's very hard to train your imagination that way. It's many years of practice to train your imagination to actually create spaces without computer and SketchUp and ArchiCAD or anything else. It's very, very small percentage of people who do it. But what if everyone can do it? You know, it will happen. Well,
I think there is still an interesting path that we try to shorten with making the tools easier and easier. Between your imagination and how you represent it, there is still an interesting process happening when you try to explain your thoughts with a sentence. You use the tool of a language, and sometimes it goes wrong. You say something that you didn't mean. I think it's also with design that you try something, you imagined it in a certain way, and three people imagined the same thing that was defined with language in the same way, but it's three different things what they represent. And that's also in VR. I feel like the learning curve of the tool is it's super easy to quickly do something that you just feel. This is the arch that I had in mind. But I think it's not too bad that there is still this moment of where your hand is actually discovering things, that you thought about something else happened, and and there is a moment of surprise for yourself. You imagine something, but the result is different. Maybe it's better. I think it's not always too bad. But what I meant more with my question is this digital. Because with my project, with my research project, Hyperliving, I want to work more on the digital that is not the goal on its own. So it's a mean to bring people in a physical environment and to create physical relations, if I can say so, communities that are tangible in the old school way, we try to work with the nudge and not the bubble itself.
Yeah, I think the first thing where it will happen in retail, because it's like a coronavirus. Something needs to happen, something shocking needs to happen, so we can actually fund innovations. All these crazy guys talking about imagination, like us, will be talking, but then somebody comes with big money and they say, okay, I will give you this kind of $1 billion, and you create it, and you have 6 months. And that's the way it happened. And, it happens the same with the vaccinations. Those guys were working on mRNA vaccination for a long time. This was like 10 years or 15 years to work. And just, the governments came and they were like, and if anything doesn't work, just call the crazy guys. So they called those guys from BioNTech or whatever, and they said, you have the unlimited amount of money for your perspective, and you need to create it as soon as possible. You have 1 month. And that was the case. It's like, you will have $1 billion, just do it. And it will happen in retail. It will happen because, when you see for this all real estate guys who's owning the huge buildings, the huge amount of land, they have huge amount of money. Amazon is the biggest company in the world, and the shopping experience is, under the surface, the shopping experience, the live, I don't know how it's called, but you can buy actually during the stream, some kind of products you can buy during the stream, and all this kind of movement that will, revolutionize the shopping experience. Those guys will come over to those crazy ones, and they will call them and say, I need that in 1 month, because, my stakeholders say, I'm going to fail in three months, and I need to change something. You have 3 months so, unfortunately, that's the way it works. So that's why in commercial, it will usually in commercial or the army, those two situations where it happens. Yeah, we can talk for so long, but we don't have any small percentage of money which is needed to make this change. But those guys will call us one day. Those guys will pick up the phone and call us and say, I was listening to this podcast, in 2021, and this was, what you're talking about this shit, yeah? So why won't we do it right now?
Funny enough, 2 days ago, I would thought you are exaggerating, and it's, of course, we love talking. I'm used to talking and discussing great ideas that then take ages to introduce. But just yesterday, I got a phone call from a guy from LA on his way to Hawaii that he has an investor from Dubai, and he looks for people to help him to build a virtual shopping mall. And he called me 5 minutes after we were connected by my friend. And 5 minutes later, he had a meeting with the Dubai guy, and that he can call me an hour later so we can talk the details and how much money do I want to quit my job and just jump on this project. So this is completely not from what I'm used to. And that's exactly what you said. And it just happens. They have the idea, they have the budget, because there is easy to predict profit in this. So It's easy to take a risk. Especially by people who can afford this risk. Yeah. So I completely agree, but still I think they talk and they think profit, and there is a lot of interesting human experience to be discovered there, and that actually, I believe, this will bring them success, something that people enjoy doing. And I think a lot of enjoyment comes from the simple pleasures of another human being, etc.
So you have your big decision in front of you. I unfortunately need to finish this call today, but because I need to jump on another one, But I think it's definitely a great opportunity to talk. We need to do it again. I think.